Welcome to Angela's Kitchen. I'm Angela, and this is my kitchen. Today we're going to be making two poultry dishes. The first one, of course, is a standard that we all know, pollo alla cacciatore, which is your chicken cacciatore, as we say in English. We have here a 12-inch pan. Now, this is not a skillet. This is a deep-sided pan in order to accommodate the ingredients that we put into the pan in order that there's plenty of room for them to sit not one on top of the other. We will need a lid for this. And here we have 3 breasts, half breasts of chicken, which I have cut in half. Now, if you wanted to use a whole chicken, I would recommend a large fryer because it's more tender than your broilers or your hens. Certainly you would not use. So these are, see, there are 3 breasts which I have skinned and cut in half, and 4 drumsticks. If you do decide to use a whole chicken, also use the wings, and again cut the breasts in half. Then you have the thighs, and you have the 2 little drumsticks, and you might want to use the backs, but I feel that's kind of a waste. So I just buy the premium pieces, and I find it turns out much better in the long run. You're getting a lot more meat. We need 4 tablespoons of olive oil. Now, if you notice here, let's go back to the chicken a minute, it's already salted and peppered. You will need to salt and pepper your chicken, obviously. We have usually 1 clove of garlic, but these were small, so I'm using 2 cloves of garlic, which I will use in the oil and then remove. This is 1 medium onion, which is sliced thinly, just sliced in rounds. And here we have, I don't know if you've ever used this spice, this is a teaspoon of rosemary. Rosemary looks like little pine needles almost. Take a look. Can you see that? It has a lovely fragrance and flavor. That's 1 teaspoon of rosemary, 2 bay leaves. Now what I do when I use them in the cooking is cut them in half, not completely, but just snap them so that the flavor is released. 1 cup of white wine, and this is the equivalent of 1 cup of Italian plum tomatoes. And of course, always use your Italian tomatoes. Your tomatoes that you use for cooking, which are the round ones, are usually mostly water. These are not. Even the sauce is thick. The juices are thick with pulp. Then we'll need 1 tablespoon of fresh parsley and 1 tablespoon of fresh basil. If you do not have fresh basil, use 1/2 teaspoon of the dry. However, use your fresh parsley because you can get that at the supermarket anytime. All right, would you join me at the stove? Raise our heat to high. Add our 4 tablespoons of olive oil. And when it starts dancing and becoming aromatic, that's when I will add the 2 cloves of garlic. Our oil is hot. We're adding the garlic, and we'll just wait until they get golden, and then we will remove it from the oil. It's just to make the oil aromatic. All right, you'll notice that I have the pan tilted so that all of the oil is surrounding the garlic so that it'll brown faster. The garlic is browned, and I'm discarding it. I will now add my chicken. I'm going to lower it to medium-high and add it with what would have been the skin side down, not the bone side first. Now this will take about 5 minutes of browning all sides of the chicken over medium-high. And of course, adjust your heat if it's browning too fast. You don't want it to be dark. You want it to be a light golden brown. And turn your pieces as you need to. This has taken about 5 minutes. I have just barely made the pieces golden, as you see. They're not cooked, obviously. We're going to remove them to a platter. All of the pieces. We now add the onion, the rosemary, that was a teaspoon, and the 2 bay leaves. And also the 1 cup of wine. Raise it to high. And during that time, we're scraping the bottom of the pan to get all of the good, crusty chicken that sits there. As soon as this comes to a boil, you will find that it will start evaporating. And when it has attained kind of a glaze, then I know that it's ready for my 1 cup of Italian plum tomatoes. And if you could smell this, oh, it's heaven. You see what's happening now. The onions are cooking. The rosemary is imparting its flavor, as well as the bay leaf. When you put this in the serving platter, you might want to remove the bay leaf because you don't want one of your guests to chew into a leaf. And they're large enough to see. You notice there's hardly any wine left, but there is a glaze. At this point, this has taken about 5 minutes for the wine to almost completely evaporate. At this point, I return the chicken to my skillet, including any juices that have been released. This is still on high. And now put your pieces bone side down for your breasts. I now add my cup of plum tomato. And make sure that you've got your tomato all over the pan so that each chicken piece will sit in some tomato. Now you're probably noticing something. If you've been to a restaurant that hasn't been really the best, you will find that when they serve you chicken cacciatore, all you see is the sauce sitting on top, and you don't see the chicken. Chicken cacciatore is not a saucy dish. There's a little bit of sauce, true, but it doesn't sit like ragu over meatballs. Otherwise, you would have a chicken ragu. Chicken cacciatore does not have lots of tomato sauce. I'm now going to add a tablespoon of parsley, and a tablespoon of basil. And you might want to add some salt for your tomato, which did not have salt. But then as you serve it, of course, everyone can add his own. At this point, we cover our chicken cacciatore and cook it over a medium heat, just so long as it continues simmering slowly, for 20 minutes. Cover it, but from time to time check it and turn the pieces, but leave it about 10 minutes on the bone side. All right, we're going to cover it now and time it for 20 minutes. Lower the heat to medium so that it will not be simmering as rapidly as this, but it'll slow down in a little bit. And in 20 minutes, your chicken cacciatore will be ready. Oops, our chicken cacciatore is ready. Bring the platter over here and the pan and my trusty wooden spoon. Now let me put my pieces. Now these, during the 20-minute cooking time, have been turned so that both sides would cook, obviously. Now here are the bay leaves, which I'm removing. Now the delicious sauce is put over the platter. And this is not ragu, as you see. It's a thick, very, very good sauce that is not ragu, which is ragu's fine in its own recipe, but not for cacciatore. Allora, ecco, pollo alla cacciatore. My second poultry recipe is pollo ai funghi, which means chicken with mushrooms in a cream sauce. First, we will need again a 10-inch, this one is a 12-inch skillet with deep sides. Then we will need a mixture of, that's a half a cup of all-purpose flour. There has been salt added here, and since this is a cream sauce, we do not use black pepper. We don't want little dark specks, and so we are using white pepper, and I'm sure you all know what that is. It's just prettier with the white pepper. Then we will need a batter of 2 eggs mixed with 2 tablespoons of water. That will be our batter, the flour and the egg mixture. Then we will need 4 tablespoons or a half a stick of sweet melted butter, 2 tablespoons of olive oil, a half cup of chicken broth, a quarter of a cup of white vermouth. Now this is not your sweet vermouth. Make sure that it's dry. As a matter of fact, this is extra dry. 1 cup of heavy whipping cream, the juice extracted from 1 lemon. If you do not have fresh lemon, 2 tablespoons of your reconstituted juice is fine. And these are 6 mushrooms that I have sliced very, very thinly. Now, if you come close to the mushroom, this has been cleaned, but it still is not, it has some dark spots. That's all right if you're using a darker sauce, but with a cream sauce, everything has to be snow white. So what I did, you see what I'm doing? I'm peeling, and it's very easy. You just catch from underneath your mushroom and peel. Catch and peel. And these were 12 mushrooms, so it didn't take very long. There you are. And now we have a beautiful snow white mushroom, as you see. And I'm going to slice it along with the rest very, very thinly, like so. You see that? At this point, I'm going to put the lemon in the mushrooms, and it'll sit in lemon until we're ready to use them. There you are. There's lemon in the mushroom. That'll keep them white, too. They won't darken this way. I'm giving our eggs another turn. Remember, we put 2 tablespoons of water. Now, this is going to be, remember again, that this has your salt and pepper to taste, and it's white pepper, not black pepper. These are our chicken fillets. What I have done is taken 3 whole breasts. This would be 1 whole breast this way. And I have boned it, and I have removed all of the fat. Now here is 1/2 breast with the skin, which I am going to remove. At the same time, you're removing fat. And then with a sharp knife, it doesn't have to be a boning knife, but with a sharp knife, just put your knife right under the bone and just feel it through. And you can feel where the bone is, so that you've got, you see, there's the bone left. There, discard the bone. I wouldn't discard it if I were you. It makes a wonderful chicken broth. And here you have a breast that is filleted without fat, without skin, and without bone. Now, I am going to use the batter. It's 1 dip in the flour mixture. Make sure that you don't get too much flour. Into the egg, and then 1 more time into the flour. Like so. And again, make sure that it doesn't have too much of an accumulation of flour. It's flour, pat excess, egg, flour, let's turn our heat to high. We're adding our 4 tablespoons of butter and our 2 tablespoons of olive oil. And let's wait until the butter bubbles. Notice that the butter is bubbling, and now I'm going to add my fillets of chicken that I have completely done over at the counter. I finished the flour and egg dip. Now these are only going to take 3 minutes per side. So in 6 minutes, these will be removed to a warm platter. I don't know whether I mentioned that during the cooking time it should be between medium and medium-high. That's where I have it now. You see, they're nicely golden. Remove them to a warm platter. Now, what we do is we remove all of the grease before we continue with the cooking, and that's what I'm going to do now. Matter of fact, an easier way to do that is with a paper towel. it back to the stove, put it on high, add my chicken soup and my vermouth. And have that come to a boil. And it's bubbling nicely and the two flavors are mingling. As soon as that has evaporated somewhat and has become a little glazed, as you see is happening here, we will add our whipping cream. This has reduced to about half. I'm adding the 1 cup of whipping cream. And what we will do is continue stirring it until it thickens somewhat. All right, now the whole process between adding the vermouth and adding the chicken broth, plus now thickening the cream, takes about 5 minutes. I would say about 3 for the chicken broth and the wine, and 2 and perhaps 3, depending upon the size again of your pan. You know that your cream sauce is ready when, if you go along the edge, you'll see little thick portions like that. See that? Can you see that? It looks like soft mozzarella. See, it's coating the spoon. That means that your cream sauce is ready. At this point, you add your your mushrooms that have been sitting in lemon. Of course, this requires absolutely no time for the mushrooms because they are so thinly sliced. I would say maybe just a half minute. Your sauce is nice and thick. You can see that. See how thick that is? I'm going to turn off the heat, and all of this during this whole process has been on high. And now all I have to do is transfer this to my serving platter. Allora ecco il pollo ai funghi con salsa bianca, which is a chicken with mushrooms in a cream sauce. And our 2 chicken dishes are here. Here we have our pollo alla cacciatore, which really means chicken hunters style. They would get their pheasants and quail and what have you and whip up a simple dish like this. And here, pollo ai funghi. Allora, buon appetito e alla prossima volta. I hope to see you in future tapes. It's been so nice being with you today.